What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the location of the Sphinx as well as all the correct answers to the Game of Wits. Now obviously this video is going to be very spoiler centric. That's why we're starting off kind of just out here. But I would actually recommend trying to do this on your own first. It was really fun going through and solving these. But if you're absolutely stuck and you can't figure it out, let's jump into it. Now before you go ahead and start, there are two things you're going to need. You're going to need to have a golden beetle, those little beetles you can find all over the map that increase your total capacity, which by the way, we are right up here. We're starting from Checkpoint Rest Town. And the other thing you're going to need is a pawn that has the name Sphinx Parent. Now I've already marked 2 riftstones where you can find one of these. We have a riftstone of fellowship right here. We also have one right here. So there are 2 of these on the way to the Sphinx. Make sure you have Sphinx Parent, because there's Sphinx Mother and Sphinx Father. I haven't tested it with them. I don't know if they'll work. They might, but I know for a fact Sphinx Parent does. So either way, we're going to head on out. We're not going to be doing any fighting. I just want to show the route because this one is a little tricky to get to. The second location is significantly easier to find, and we're going to warp straight there. But we just run on down. And we're making our way on over to the ancient battleground.
We've little need for a campsite at present.
Let us return once we've grown tired from our labors.
Now you can do this at pretty much any point in the game. There's no real crazy fights. I know I say that as we're coming up on a Cyclops and Dragon duking it out, but you don't actually have to involve yourself in that fight, which I am by going too low. Hang on. If you don't want to get involved, we can go up this way, which this way is actually faster anyway. And we'll stay up top. And then we want to get up to the battlement. Which for those curious, the Cyclops stands no chance. The Dragon absolutely takes that fight. Go on in here and make a left. Oh, I'm out of fuel. Rip. It's okay. We're not really going anywhere that's too dark. And even though we're just sprinting there, I would fully suggest exploring this as you have time. There's a lot of really cool loot around here, including something you need to get the one of the sorcery and mage meister skills. So we're going to drop down. And then we're just going to run on through over to another area where we can climb up again. Now, as far as I know, I don't know if you can answer all the riddles and also kill the Sphinx. I've passed some time. We're going to see if the Sphinx is at the second location. If it is, I'm going to attempt to kill it. If it's not, then, you know, it ran away from me. But right over here, we have a Cyclops. We're not worried about him. We're just going to run right past him and climb up this. Very tucked away back here.
You have my protection.
And now we're into World's End Cavern.
How's this?
We're just straight booking it. Which there's nothing that's too deadly. Like as you can see, we're running our way all the way there. But there is that Cyclops. There's a golem up ahead. So if you're trying to fight your way through here, definitely make sure you're prepared. It can get a little sketchy with the amount of things here, but you know where you're going. You can kind of just zippity-doo right on through.
Battle is best avoided here.
And here's how you know you're on the right track. You got the Sphinx mural right there. And ignore the golem and go right on in. And then we go up here. And then once we get to the top, we have reached the first location for the Sphinx. Now there are 2 different locations and 5 riddles that you have to solve at each location. I tried using an arrow of unmaking on the Sphinx, and that made it fly on away. So unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's still here, but as you answer each of the riddles, you'll end up getting some loot. Gave me a part crystal. The hell is a part crystal? Is that a fake? I've never seen that before. Let me look. The counterfeit. Rip. I wonder if that's because I already got the port crystal from her.
A wake stone arisen.
Wake stones are always good.
It harbors the power to bring the dead back to life.
So she may actually give you, because this is New Game Plus 2, so she may give you fakes on subsequent playthroughs. But either way, once you get over here, you're going to encounter the Sphinx for the first time. Now, there are 5 riddles you're going to be presented with. Eyes, madness, wisdom, conviction, and rumination. The eyes is the first riddle. She tells you to go into the cave here and basically not to trust your eyes, find the thing of the most value. This one is pretty simple, but we just gotta walk on in. And then right up there in that chest, we are going to get an item. This, the ceiling file. And that is what she's looking for. So that is the riddle of eyes. Bring the ceiling file on over to her, and that one is all set.
Be on your guard.
The next one is going to be the riddle of madness. The riddle of madness is about love. Love is your pawns. So just walk on over here with your pawns and answer her. The dialogue actually changes depending on how many pawns you have, but you can have all 3 pawns, 1 pawn, 2 pawn. Either way, the point is you love your pawns. So that is the riddle of madness. The next is the riddle of wisdom. And she is saying, I seek my parent. This is where the Sphinx parent pawn will come in. And as I mentioned, you can find those over at the spots we marked. The Riftstone of Fellowship, those summon pawns with unique names. So you might have to refresh it a few times, but you can always find a Sphinx parent pawn at Riftstones of Friendship, or excuse me, Fellowship. Then things get a little bit trickier. We have the riddle of conviction, which is going to require you to have the gold beetle. Don't worry, she gives it back, but you sacrifice a gold beetle. That's the pawn. And then the hardest one is going to be the riddle of rumination. Now, the riddle of rumination requires you to go back and find your very first Seeker's token. And when you find it, you're going to have a Finder's token next to it. Now, if you haven't found any Seeker's tokens until now, you're in luck, because the very first one you find is going to also have a Finder's token. If that's the case, there's a couple that are pretty easy, and there's one that's actually really close. There is one that's right back here, right around where we ran past that Cyclops, up on a ledge, kind of on this battlement. It's a little bit tricky to spot, but there is one there. Probably the easiest one to get is actually right in the middle of Varnworth. Right in the very middle, there's one sitting right here in the fountain. So that is another potential one that you could get. But the point is, I hope you remembered where you found your first one. Thankfully, I was recording the whole series, so I ended up scanning through like hours of footage, and I did find it, thankfully. But once you get the Finder's token, you're all set. All 5 chests will open, and the Sphinx then moves on over to the next location, which I have to get a little bit farther here so I can use my crystal. I've rested for like 3 days, so I'm hoping she's there because I would like to have a fight.
We seem to have arrived without issue.
And no, she is not.
But are we safe?
Well, but this is good because it confirms something for this guide. So, in an attempt to kill the Sphinx, I went to use something known as the unmaking arrow. This is unique. It's supposed to kill instantly. My guess is because the Sphinx is technically immortal, this just doesn't work. Hitting the Sphinx with it, she basically goes, I'm not doing this, and she just dipped out. So if you do want to fight the Sphinx, God, man, tongue twisters here. If you want to fight the Sphinx, don't use the unmaking arrow, just start attacking it. I haven't got to kill it since it's run away from me. And the second time I messed up the riddles. Well, first playthrough, I got through most of the riddles and messed up. Second playthrough, I got through the riddles. Third one, I've tried to kill her. But I'm told she drops the eternal wakestone if you do kill her, which is useful because if you get infected with the pawn plague, which, just to talk about that briefly, Dragon's Plague, I actually just had this happen to myself. This is wild. Your pawn basically like goes berserk and it wipes out the entire town. But the eternal wakestone that you get from killing the Sphinx can be used as like a multi-res. So I'm assuming that is what you would use to counteract Dragon's Plague if it happens. But in general, if you see a pawn with this, just eat them off a cliff. You don't want them around. But either way, let's talk about the other 5 riddles you're presented with. We have the Riddle of Reunion, the Riddle of Contest, Recollection, Futility, and Differentiation. Riddle of Reunion is going to be a freebie. Just finding the Sphinx here after solving riddles at the other location will automatically get you that. The rest of these are in a semi-random order. The first one I'll talk about is Riddle of Recollection. Now, Riddle of Recollection is based on how many riddles you have solved up until that point. And the important thing to remember is Riddle of Reunion, just getting here, counts as 1. So the easiest way is you got 5 at the last location. When you get Riddle of Recollection, just see how many chests are unlocked. So if 2 chests are unlocked here, you're at 7. If only 1 chest has been unlocked, you're at 6, etc., etc. And all you're going to have to do is just pick up some stones and throw them over towards this platform to answer that question. Next, we have Riddle of Contest. Now, this one's pretty funny. She is going to put a ring on you, which will make it so you do the lowest amount of damage possible. Now, the easiest way I found to do this one is just wail on whatever it is you're fighting until they get staggered. When they get staggered, you can just walk on up, you can grab them, and then you can yeet them on off the cliff. We're not going to yeet them off the cliff right now. I like my pawns. But that is what you would do. Knock the guy out. You throw him from this height, dude's not going to survive. That counts as passing the challenge. Alternatively, I've heard you can have your pawns attack him as well, but I don't like that idea too much because occasionally one-on-one challenges, pawns getting involved, things get a little iffy. We have the Riddle of Differentiation. This one is cute. So there are 2 NPCs that you have, well, there's 1 NPC you have to find. But going through the list here, he looks just like Dante. The thing is, you're not trying to find Dante, you are trying to find his brother, Virgil. So, nice little joke there from Itsuno. He's also the director of Devil May Cry. But you find both of them over here. You're going to find Dante wandering around on this side of checkpoint and Virgil wandering around on this side. So make sure you grab Virgil. An easy way to tell, Virgil has really jacked up teeth, but the easy thing is he is on the south border. If you grab Dante and bring him, like I did, you're going to be rather disappointed. Now, there are a couple ways you can do this. You can use the ceiling file that we got from the first set of riddles to suck them into the bottle and bring them on here. You may want to save it for the final riddle, though. You could kill Virgil and then drag his body on over here. Whether you're going to do that, you could leave and then go this way to get on in there. Or the longer route would be, I guess it's about equidistant. You would kill him and then go this way. There's going to be a like cliff ledge here. You'd have to toss him across and then you have to go on up. In general, both ways are pretty treacherous. This way is going to involve, I believe it's a Cyclops and a Minotaur, whereas this route you have a Cyclops, the potential for a dragon, and a Griffin that occasionally shows up. So either route is going to be dangerous. You're not going to be able to get him there alive, but what you can do is drag the dead body on over here and then use a wakestone. I don't know if you can present a dead body. I think you might be able to, but either way, you could drag the body here, use a wakestone, body's up, complete the quest, Riddle of Differentiation solved. Now, the final one, and by far the hardest, is the Riddle of Futility. She is going to give you an amphora, which is a very decorative vase or decorative pot, and you need to get that amphora all the way down here in Bakbatal to the Mural Byway. Now, the hardest approach to do this, which is what I did, I went back over here. I was hoping to use the ox cart. The ox cart was not in service yet, so I'm not sure if you can just hop on the ox cart with the pot. But instead, I ended up taking that route all the way down while carrying this pot. I'd like set it down, get into combat, go pick it up, set it down, get into combat. But once you get to the ropeway station, you can ride that to here and then ride that into town, and it is there fairly safe. Now that is pretty stressful. I will say, if you are doing that route, if you're walking the pot breaks, immediately start system, return to title screen without saving. And with a little bit of luck, it won't have auto-saved the pot breaking on you. Now, the other thing is if you still have that file of sealing, what instead you can do is go on over to the town here. And the NPC you're looking for, he's right here at the mural byway. There's only one person there. The guy's talking about the Sphinx and hyping it on up. You can seal him in the bottle, or you could kill him and drag his body, similar to Virgil. And then once you get that on over here, which I would suggest doing sealing just because it's much farther, you can then present him to the pot. So the idea here is instead of bringing the pot to him, we're bringing him to the pot, and that will also count as a potential solution to it. And upon doing that, you have then answered all 10 of the Sphinx's riddles, and you then have a brand new trophy, along with a bunch of random loot. For the most part, the loot's okay. I got like a sensor that gets 10 gold on hit, but the big one is like wake stones, the port crystal. That stuff is obviously very, very useful to have, and stuff that is, you know, just good. So either way, that is going to wrap things up for the Sphinx guide. Was kind of hesitant putting this one up because I think a big part of this is solving it on your own. So hopefully y'all at least tried to think out the puzzles before going straight to YouTube for the answer. But either way, closing things out here. Thanks for coming on by, and I'll catch you next time.